Hi, friends. I'm Michael David McGuire here at the studio in New York. Welcome back for more of the Night Talker Show, brought to you this hour and every hour by Media Consulting Services. World-class media marketing, branding, and PR, helping serious businesses worldwide reach the world. For details, go to MediaConsultingServices.com. As I got ready to do the show today, I knew that we'd be talking with Jonathan Bailor, the fitness and nutrition researcher, author of the new book, The Smarter Science of Slim, Eat More, Exercise Less, Smarter. And as I headed into the studio, I couldn't help but take a quick trip down memory lane, back to the early days of TV when television was black and white and there were 3 channels, and the shows that you would get would be like I Love Lucy and Perry Mason. And for those of you that remember those days, including the newscasts, people smoked cigarettes on television. It's hard to believe today. And the cigarette ads were featured faces of doctors telling us how healthy cigarette smoking was. And to those of us today, that's just unbelievable. And that is the parallel that I draw with some of the health and fitness research that Jonathan Bailor's been doing. Our guest, Jonathan Bailor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Do you know, I've read the book. A lot of people now have read the book. The reviews that you're getting for The Smarter Science of Slim are really quite impressive. And I know when I first came across the concept of eat more, exercise less, smarter, of course, my initial reaction, I think like the reaction of a lot of people, is, this is really too good to be true. Yet when I tried the program myself, the eat more part of it, by the way, I actually dropped 5 pounds in about 2 weeks. I mean, I thank you for that. That's something I really haven't had a chance to talk to you about, and it's something that I sincerely appreciate.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm definitely happy to help.
You know, it is so interesting to read your book and to understand the concepts that you're talking about, which when one reads these concepts, they are so obvious, so intuitive, so absolutely right. A question for you, which I'm sure you can answer, is when did diet and nutrition become a matter of opinion and not a matter of fact?
That's a question I ask myself every day, Mike. It seems like we have, we go out, we read these books, and we hear what everyone thinks about diet and nutrition. And then I started scratching my head, and I was just like, this isn't really a matter of opinion, right? I mean, when we eat food, our body does all kinds of chemical reactions, not to sound too geeky, and that's a matter of biology and chemistry. That's not a matter of opinion. It's something that can be studied, and it's something that has been studied. We just haven't had access to that research. We've only had access to what people who profit off of our weight loss struggles, for lack of better terms, tell us.
Well, it's something that I think is obvious, but I'd never really thought about much before, and very few people that I talk to have ever thought about, is that the so-called diet industry, diet sodas, diet chips, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry right next door to the multi-billion industry of exercise, going to the gym. And there's a lot of money to be made by keeping people fat.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it's funny, too, because, just in what you just said, there's a lot of money to be made in helping people to eat less, and a lot of money to be made in helping people to exercise more, because those are both very difficult things to do. I mean, what is one of the most basic needs we have, right? It's to eat food. So when you tell people they have to eat less, well, yeah, there's a lot of products and services you're going to need to buy to help you do that. And what's one thing we don't have enough of today? We don't have enough time. So when they're like, oh, well, it's fine, you keep your weight, you just need to go exercise for 6 hours a week. Heck, there's a lot of money to be made trying to bring that number down or try to make that number more palatable. You tell me I got to go walk on a treadmill for 6 hours. That treadmill better have a freaking plasma screen TV hooked up to it or something, because exercising more and eating less just really isn't a practical option in today's society.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of yours and of your book. I mean, I've put it into practice in my own life, and I don't want this coming across like some sort of cheesy infomercial to sell your book. I think you're doing just fine in the book sales department, and the reviews that have been coming in have been really, really quite amazing. But one of the things that struck me in the book was, and this is a fact, back in the 1960s, the word aerobic did not even exist. I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah, it was actually, I believe, 1968. A doctor first wrote a book called, I think it was Dr. Kenneth Cooper, if I'm not mistaken, wrote a book in 1968 called Aerobics. And before that, we just didn't even, that term didn't exist in the lexicon, to use a fancy word. No one talked about going to exercise or going to do aerobics because the word didn't even exist.
When I was a young actor in the 1970s and working in New York and Los Angeles, there might have been, in the city of New York, maybe 2 gyms. There was a YMCA downtown and one uptown. Might have been more, but there were very few gyms. Now, fast forward 40 years, there are chain franchise gyms on virtually every other corner, in every neighborhood, yet there are more fat people now than there used to be. That doesn't make any sense to me, and that was one of the issues that you pointed out in your book. There's something else, and this was, I think, if I can offer you a compliment, sheer genius, is the concept of calories in and calories out, where you, and this is based on research from some of the top research institutes in North America, where you show that if calorie in and calorie out was really true, a good calculation, that if we were doing the, quote, diet and exercise routine correctly, as big business has led us to do, that very soon people would weigh so little that they would disappear.
Well, yeah, no, that is definitely, we do. I do a lot of sort of fun calorie math in the book. Things along the lines of if we ate, one less saltine cracker a day, which amounts to about 10 calories every day for the next 10 years, we'd all weigh about 15 pounds. Because it's funny, right? But it sounds ridiculous. But even if you read, the most recent dietary guidelines put out by the USDA, My Pyramid, Food Guide Pyramid folks, they say, the key to sustained weight loss is just to reduce your caloric intake by 50 to 100 calories a day. And obviously, if that's actually true, and if that's all there is to weight loss, well, then you'd think there'd be a lot more really, really, really thin people walking around, because if I eat 50 fewer calories a day, does that mean I'm going to lose weight until I weigh 0 pounds? Of course it's not, right? So there's a lot more biology going on, and I don't know if people just think we're stupid, but we're not hearing the whole story. We're hearing just bits and pieces of it, and it's causing the big fat mess that we have today.
Well, and of course, I lean towards being very interested in these conspiracy theories, and in the second part of the show, we'll talk about what I see as some of the heavy hand of big business pushing concepts that may be counter to the best interest of people. But related to the calorie in and calorie out, one of the concepts in your book talks about a natural set point in terms of weight that we all have, and that it is possible for us as people to reach our reset that set point.
Yeah, that's really the crux of the book, is that one of the crux of the book is that we've been taught, exactly like you said, we've been taught that our biology works like a balance scale, that it's just calories in versus calories out, and that our body's like a simple machine. And our body is not that simple. That doesn't mean it's complicated for us to figure out our body and to lose weight, but it doesn't mean it's that simple. And the way our body actually works, if you look at the academic research that's been done, is we all have a set point that's predetermined by our genetics. There's been all kinds of fun twin studies done that prove this, and all kinds of other really interesting studies. But the bottom line is our bodies have a weight that they want us to weigh, and that's why, I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I know I have, where you get the flu or you get sick,
right,
and you lose, 10 or 15 pounds really quickly. and then you don't change anything about your eating or your exercise, but somehow all that weight comes back. And you're not eating any more and you're not eating any less, but that weight comes back. Or you do start successfully eating less and exercising more, and somehow you just stop losing weight at some point, and then you eventually go back to your original weight. Our genes dictate our weight in many ways, just like they dictate our height. But what we can do, and what the researchers around the world are starting to uncover, is that by manipulating the quality of the food we eat and the quality of the exercise we get, we can sort of retrain our set point, and we can change our biology to work, kind of like those people who are just naturally slim, people who eat whatever they want and never exercise and stay skinny. We can do that too, and it has nothing to do with balancing calories.
Well, there's something that we have here in New York, and that I'm beginning to see around more of the country, that you go to a fast food restaurant or you go to a deli, and they will offer sandwiches and a soft drink, and associated with each item on the menu will be the number of calories. And even before I read your book, I thought, well, wait a minute, this is bogus, because X number of calories of a sugar-sweetened drink is not the same of that same number of calories in eating broccoli. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, yet people are being taught that it is the calories in and calories out that keep people thin, yet by doing that, by starving ourselves, we trick our body into thinking that that we're hungry, that we're starving, that there's a famine going on. Therefore, our body retains more fat.
Absolutely. What you hit the nail on the head there when we talk about saying, just eat the same foods you've always eaten, just eat less of them. Well, let's say that using different words. Starve yourself. Take if you look at the typical diet most people eat today, it's deficient in nutrients and abundant in calories. So we just say, well, just eat less of that. What we're saying is deprive your body of even more nutrients and start starving. And when you think about what the body perceives in that scenario, the body's like, I'm starving. And when the body's starving, the reason we store fat is to avoid starvation. So when our body thinks we're starving, it's not going to burn fat necessarily. It's going to slow us down, and it's going to burn lean muscle tissue. In fact, studies show that when we do starve ourselves, up to 70% of the weight we lose is actually our lean muscle tissue, because that's the tissue that burns all the calories. Our fat isn't burning calories, so if our body's short on calories, what's it going to do? It's going to get rid of the tissue burning calories, not the tissue designed to protect us from starvation.
I know. Well, I love to listen to you get wrapped up. You are so passionate on what you talk about. Hey, listen, when we come back from this break, I want to talk about the bogus food pyramid. I think they call it the plate or the flying saucer. I don't know what they call it now, but I want to talk about that. And then also, friends, we're going to talk about the National Soft Drink Association and the good news from them. I'm Michael David McGuire, and this is the Night Talker Show here on the Night Talker Radio Network. Hi, friends. Michael David McGuire here with another Night Talker travel adventure of a lifetime. That's right. You'll be coming here to New York, where you'll meet Steve and the rest of the gang. On the second night, Pablo's invited us to join him for a fabulous Italian dinner at Bella Luna. Then we'll head down Broadway to catch an award-winning show. During your stay, we'll also tour Ground Zero. Go to the top of the Empire State Building, hang out at Rockefeller Center, walk through Central Park, ride past the Statue of Liberty on the Staten Island Ferry, and join me and the team at some of our favorite restaurants. You'll stay at Hotel Bel Nord on New York's fabulous Upper West Side. We'll take care of all transportation. For details and reservations, call our office in Los Angeles at area code 323-656-3000. Space is limited. We'll take care of all expenses, including airfare, ground transport, hotel, and meals. You know we love to show our listeners the world, and this next adventure promises to be a lot of fun. If you don't live here in New York, it's too bad, because you don't have a West Side Market. Have you seen the catering menu from West Side Market? The photos are delicious. The food is incredible. Actually, it was Fran who turned me on to the catering at West Side Market. You see, when we'd have a party here at the studio, Fran would call West Side Market to bring in everything. She really likes the cheese platter.